But please do that. You're welcome to do the coding challenge. But that's where I would start if you're, still a student, or even if you're early in your career. Some people in the chat might be a little bit early in their career and they want to do something else. Feel free to look at that and go from there. Okay. Okay. So Karthi writes, and again, by the way, folks, if you're coming in, feel free to let us know where you're from. Even if you're a regular in the chat, it's always good to remind each other where we're from and all that. Let me know the city, state, and country that you're from. So Karthi writes, I have a question. When we do sentiment analysis, how do we analyze the actual interest towards a product rather than it being just the initial excitement that dies down? Okay. Couple things that I'm picking up from that question. One, you would have to further define what you mean by sentiment analysis. That can mean a lot of things. And we'll come back to that. So that's the first part. The second part is that when you're talking about towards a product rather than it being until the initial excitement dies down, you're no longer talking about sentiment analysis. You're talking about trend analysis there, right? So you're kind of combining two concepts in one. So I would be cautious there and ask you to consider if you're mixing two different concepts there, right? Because it's no longer sentiment there, it's trend there, right? And then that brings up a whole host of things, right? How often are you measuring that trend and the sampling, things along those lines. But coming back to the first part, I said I would come back to it. I don't know what kind of sentiment analysis you're doing, but I've seen a lot of companies kind of go a little bit off the rails here because they don't use enough categories, right? They always just say whether it's a positive or a negative sentiment. Or some cases you'll find somebody who does like a neutral sentiment, positive, neutral, and negative, right? Is that enough? Maybe, maybe not. I would say that maybe not, right? So I've seen very, very few instances where people do sentiment analysis across as a multi-category problem, right? Why does it only have to be 3 categories? Why isn't it 10 categories? There can be a lot of things that fall under a bucket of sentiment, right? That makes your algorithm more complex. It requires a lot more human validation.